Hello everyone, I am Josias123, as you already know, or maybe don't. Uh, this video is a tutorial on how to build modern. And so with this video, I'm going to show you there's three types of modern that I'm going to describe to you. There's like super modern, which is like almost superficial, which is kind of like my house. Like my house isn't done yet. I'm gonna add some more. And then there's also another type of modern. We're going to do modern skyscrapers, even more modern than some of the ones I make. Like some of these buildings you would call modern, but some of them aren't as well. And I'm gonna go over the difference between these types of buildings. So the first one we're gonna go over is of course my house. So with this type of modern, it's all freestyle. I didn't look at the design on YouTube. What I did is my house before used to come out kind of like to here, and the same on the other side. But as you can see, it used to be like a big H, and it kind of still has a little bit of that H shape. But I've added on to it. There's a lot of different aspects to different modern buildings. So with mine, one tip I have is a lot of people I know, they like to use these quartz stairs as corners. They add like that kind of like a chiseled effect to it, or you don't have to do it like that. You could also go something like this. Take this. Let's say you have one here. You could do the one on the other side going like that, and then this one like this, for example. So you could have like a crisscrossed kind of design if you wanted to. Let me just go back and change that. But there's so many different ones, and using slates can give it a textured 3D kind of look. Now a lot of modern houses have flat roofs, but you don't have to. I'm going to show you another YouTuber's house. His name is Alextronics. If you haven't seen him before, check him out. This is his modern house, and he built some really awesome modern buildings in it. And it kind of has a different look. This is another type of modern house I'm going to go into and show you, but I'm not going to showcase this house because this house is, one, not finished, and two, it isn't mine to showcase. So I'm going to go into a different world in just a minute, and I'll describe to you a different type of modern house. And another thing that's really cool is this. This is an addition I've added to my house. This is my bedroom above here, actually. And what I did is basically I've created an accent area, or I could even turn this into a patio or a barbecue. But looking from it from the back, it has a nice kind of raised look to it. Another feature you can add is this. Okay, I have my window, which is glass panes. I have a 3D look, but I also have this inside part that kind of looks really cool. Because as you can see, the flat part, which I'm planning on changing it and making it more 3D, doesn't look as nice. Now, one way you can change that, if you did do that, you can take some slates and go along the top or the bottom. And one thing, a lot of people will just go like this with slates, and that looks cool on some buildings, but you can also add it out, or even go out even farther than this. And you might wonder why I use stained clay. It is fireproof in a way. It won't burn in open air like wool. If you haven't seen my last video before, check it out. It's on different thunderstorms. There's like 8 lightning bolts a second in some areas, which is really crazy. Another part of my modern houses I add a lot of corner windows. Now corner windows, I'm going to show you from the inside just really quick, because it's not the same feeling you get from the outside. This is a modern kind of deal. Now you wouldn't want to have your whole house with corners, because the corners also do help support. It also helps support the house. And another tip a lot of people will use is using iron. Iron has its place, and I've used a lot of iron, but to give it a modern, clean, crisp look, I'm using slates, not all the time. I use bricks in other areas. And another modern feature I add little plants. Underneath here is just a cauldron filled with water, and underneath the cauldron is just a simple glowstone. And one thing, for using staircases, a good thing to use is glass panes. They add a really nice, a lot of modern houses have this kind of look to it. And my house, as you've seen in my last video, fully supports redstone. I'm just going to try and open up the ceiling here in an area where you can Okay, so this is the ceiling that you see, and this is the floor above it. So as you can see, there's a decent space between that I can add any redstone I need to, and some of it's, oh yeah, I need to finish wiring this up. And the same goes for here, because as you can see, in this part here, I can actually go and walk around inside this layer of the house. Now, I don't know how a chicken got in here. I don't even want to know. And you can also see the work of my redstone doors in here too. Well, some of it. This is the bottom half of it. So the next one we're gonna go over. Actually, I'm gonna wait to do the skyscrapers one. We are going to do the different, another different style of modern house. Just a few more tips on this kind of modern house. Make a nice foyer in your house. When you look at a lot of modern shows, like for example Property Brothers or that kind, they turn these homes, a lot of people want modern, and what they do is a lot of people like a nice big foyer. As you can see, I have a big foyer, which is kind of like an area you come into your house, and it looks really nice. You know, I got a couple pillars here, and it's open concept, which open concept is a very modern design. Open concept means, for example, my room is not open concept. As you can see, it's enclosed. This is an enclosed room. Now, when you come out here, an open concept would be, okay, you know, the foyer doesn't have walls around it, and when I have my living room in here, you know, I have a beam and maybe like a smaller accent wall, and that's about it. Now, I'm going to go on to the second kind of house that we're going to be, or modern house that we're going to be talking about. Okay, so in this world, I'm going to show you a few modern houses. Now this is just a simple build test world. Everyone who wants to be in my world comes to this world to build something of importance. So I'm going to show you a few modern builds in this one. Now they're not complete, but they're just tests. Now the first type of modern you're going to notice is different than this kind here. Now this one here has got some modern features, and I really like this kind of building design. And you know, we use some unmodern real features, but it's also asymmetrical, which is really important when it comes to building modern houses. So I mean, in my last house, you're gonna notice that, you know, have this going here, and let's say this side, for example, is out here. Let me just make this one more higher. This side will be like this. And then I could easily just turn this into my door, no problem, and then have this be a window or something, and I could still go like that and whatnot. But this one here features a corner window, but it's in a different style. This one's a more open one, and let's say you're in your house, you could have like you have a very nice view of what you can see in here. Now, a few tips when you're building this is add some different layers. So as you can see, this is the doorway here, but then they pushed the wall back and added some slates, which gives it not only a modern look, but it gives it a 3D effect. Now on the wall that was pushed out, this doorway here, as you can see, we've added some wood and cobblestone, as well as that accent window that pushes out from the original design from the back wall. This adds, again, more depth to the house and adds a 3D look. You're going to have people who come in and are going to be stunned. Another thing that you could change on this house is, as you can see, it's gray wool. Now you could change this to a more, let's say you wanted a flat look instead of that, you know, kind of woolly look. You could certainly, most definitely change it to this design. I'm just going to do this really quick so you guys can get the feel of how it changes it. You know, now, you're wondering why I'm using cayenne. Cayenne is a very, it's a neutral color. It can go with a lot of different types of colors, but it can also be mixed with other stuff and not have a very, you know, when you're looking at a yellow house, it's kind of bright. This is how it looks when you use a different type. Now, it doesn't necessarily, it's not the right hue to go with this kind of house, but as you can see, we've added a few more modern effects to it. Now, let's say, you have your glass here. As you can see, we have oak planks underneath it. So I am going to change into just, birch plank. I'm going to change to birch plank and just show you how this looks. Now that we're using it for a floor and where a window goes, it gives it an added effect. I'm going to show you a different effect that one of my good friends, Crazy Thrills, you see him in a lot of my videos, has used. So this is his kind of modern house, and usually he builds medieval, and this is a really kind of taste of modern, and I like it. One thing he does with his windows though is he adds glowstone and water. My personal preference is to use glowstone, water, and a, what's it called, cauldron. Only reason being, you can see the top of the grass here, which, I mean, you could always, just have to see how it looks with the flooring. But if you put a cauldron, it's gonna make it look more realistic. Like, does he really have water just sitting in his floor like that, rather than, oh, it's in a container, it's contained somewhere. And so you see a few different types of modern in this house, or in this build. So a few ideas you have to remember when you're building this style of modern house. It's kind of like a classic modern, I guess you could call it. And that's one, is to remember to always, you know, like have nice windows. And like, see here, there's not a whole lot of slates. There's kind of some slates here, and there's some slates right on the door, but you don't have to have it. Slates give it a nice effect, but it's not always necessary for building a good house. And we're gonna go over to this one, and I'll give you some more, the rest of the tips, just to remember to recap. This one here, remember that you can have different walls in different levels. So this wall here, again, is pushed out with the added effect of that window being pushed out, when you still have that pushed in and 3D depth of look of the back. We're gonna go back to my other world to look at some more modern skyscrapers and buildings. Okay, so in this version, we are going to be we are going to be talking about modern builds. Now, with these modern builds, what you're gonna remember is, there's so much I could say about this. Really, modern can be freestyled, or modern buildings can be, you know, you can look for inspirational videos and stuff like that. But what we're going to be doing is we are going to be a few ideas you can put into them is this part here. This doorway here has a nice depth, and on top of that you can fly straight through the building. Now you're wondering, how do these two buildings connect to each other? Well, inside at the almost at the very top, there's a one floor that connects. And you can have 2 or 3 of these that connect in other ways, but it adds a nice look. And on top of that, a lot of modern buildings are all glass. So this building is all glass. And what I've done is, oh wow. Oh no, this is right. Why does this look so much different? Okay, so what you can see is there's a lot of slates in this building. Now this building without slates, it would still look like a skyscraper, but it wasn't a lot of detail besides what you can see on the inside. So I added these slates, and not only do they shine the light very nicely through, but it gives it that modern effect you can think of. Now a lot of there's types of buildings you'll notice in cities that aren't modern, and then there's some that are modern. Let's take a look at my modern McDonald's. Now this isn't a skyscraper, but it's a modern building, and you can get some good ideas from it. Modern buildings use a lot more slates, as well as the houses do. Now in here, as you can see, this part sticks out a little bit. The original design before we got hardened clay in the PlayStation 4 edition was to use, I think it was spruce wood planks and that kind of stuff. And clay, another thing with the hardened clay is you can use it in buildings, like for example, like this, it gives it a very clean, crisp look. And you can still use the wool, but you run that risk of having that look that just kind of looks a little bit more dull in the clays, and you also have to worry about lightning. Now the inside isn't crazy modern, and that's the thing. Modern skyscrapers are modern on the inside, but don't have to be. I've seen a lot of modern buildings and have a traditional inside that's not crazy modern. And a lot of things to build modern skyscrapers, you're gonna have to beware, because one of the newer buildings I've worked on, this one here, it does not have redstone support for very much stuff because there's only one space. This is going to be a floor here, and I can't really do much. Like in my house, for example, I can make it a few bigger, but in some of these designs, like this one here, is kind of like a triangular design. It's a modern look. And what I'm probably still going to do with this building is this part from the top down isn't going to really be the start of the building. It's part of this building, but it's not going to be ice like the rest of it, which leads me to my next point. You can put buildings on stands, like let's say, for example, this one here is going to be, let's get our block of quartz, for example. This is going to be like a quartz part here, and I just want to kind of fill this in quickly to give you guys basically what's going to be going on here and whatnot. Where's that swiftness potion? It's around here somewhere. If I can find it any other time. Oh, there it is. Right there. So let me just quickly take this. And okay, I'm just going to fill this in really quickly. It's really boring just to watch me do this kind of stuff. And I'm going to leave just a few spaces. Now let them know that this isn't going to be the full design of what's going on, but it just kind of like gives you a general idea. I'm going to add a whole lot more detail, and this probably isn't even level. I haven't checked to make sure that, you know, it's the same on each side. But again, it doesn't really have to be. But as you can see, I might change this bottom so it's all gold, just to give it make it look different. But if you look at it this way, this is how it's going to look. Let me just do this first one here too, so you can see how it looks at the corner. That's how it looks, and it gives it a really kind of different effect. And down to one of the other points I have. Unfortunately, I am playing the Minecraft PlayStation 4 edition, and I don't have this in this game yet. But you can also use stained glass. Now, stained glass, for those of you who don't know, is in the PC version. I'm not sure what Xbox or PlayStation Vita, but it's basically like colored glass. Like as you can see, I used ice for this one, and that's all right. But you should be using stained glass because it adds a nice color, and you can make the building more personal with that. It gives you more of a personalization for what you can build. This is the first of many tutorials to come. So like this video, comment, and subscribe.